Hi, everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. I am super thrilled to have you here today because, look, we are tackling something that almost everyone using AI runs into, but honestly, very few people actually master. We're looking at this fantastic, highly practical piece of source material from the Troiana AI Hub, and it's called Pick the Right ChatGPT Model for the Job. If you use ChatGPT regularly, you obviously want the best possible results every single time you hit enter, right? But the secret to mastering this technology, it actually isn't just about writing the perfect, incredibly detailed prompt. It's really about taking a step back and selecting the exact right model for the task at hand. It's a foundational step that most of us just completely skip. So today, we're going to fix that. Let's get right into it.
So, have you ever wondered why ChatGPT sometimes feels like an absolute genius? Writing brilliant code or crafting beautiful prose in just seconds. And then other times it makes completely baffling rookie mistakes? It can be so incredibly frustrating. You sit there thinking, wait, did I phrase my question wrong? Or is the AI just having a bad day? But as our source material reveals, the secret to consistent, high-level quality isn't necessarily tweaking your prompt for the 100th time. The secret actually lies in the underlying engine. It's all about the specific model you're choosing to use.
Section 1. The Default Model Trap. Okay, let's dive into this. The very first major hurdle most users face is treating ChatGPT like a single, monolithic tool rather than a diverse ecosystem. But as the Troiana AI Hub points out, matching the model to the job is the single cheapest quality win in ChatGPT. I really love how they phrase that, cheapest quality win. Just think about a physical workshop for a second. If you walked in and decided to use a standard hammer for absolutely every single job, like driving nails, sure, but also cutting wood, painting walls, measuring angles, you'd make a colossal mess. Well, ChatGPT is exactly the same. The platform isn't just one single brain, it's a collection of different models, and they're each optimized for entirely different things. Because it's so convenient, it's really easy to just open the app and start typing, but using one default tool for everything, that's exactly why you might get really confident but entirely wrong answers when you give it a complex task. You are essentially asking a hammer to do a saw's job, and you're paying the price and the quality of your output.
Section 2. Choosing your AI tool. We really need to transition our mindset away from treating AI like a magic 8-ball and start treating it like a highly specialized tool belt. And this brilliantly illustrates the fundamental rule here. Each model inherently trades speed for depth. Up at the top, we have the fast default. This is your go-to for quick lookups, drafting emails, or just everyday chat. It handles low-complexity tasks, and it does them very fast. Right below that is the lightweight model, which is even faster and cheaper. It's perfect for the absolute lowest complexity things, like simple, high-volume API calls. But then pay attention to what happens as task complexity goes up. The speed drops. We hit the reasoning model. Now this one is designed for multi-step logic, math, and planning. It handles high complexity, but it is slow. And finally, at the very bottom, we have deep research for those massive, long-sourced investigations. Highest complexity, slowest speed. So the core takeaway here is that you absolutely must match the model to the task, not the other way around.
Let's zoom in a bit and do a head-to-head comparison of the two models that honestly get confused and misused the most. That's the fast default versus the reasoning model. So the fast default is your best friend for drafting, brainstorming, and quick lookups. You want speed here. But if you have a task like math, planning, or debugging complex logic, you absolutely must switch to the reasoning model. The Troiana Hub makes a really critical point here. They say you need to switch to a reasoning model the very moment a task has multiple dependent steps. Why is that distinction so important? Well, because in these types of tasks, if the AI makes even a slight mistake on step 1, the entire final answer is totally ruined. If you use the fast default for a tricky proof, it'll just confidently hallucinate a wrong answer because it simply doesn't pause to think. The reasoning model, on the other hand, will actually take the time to think it through step by step.
Let me share a really great micro story from the source material that perfectly demonstrates this difference in action. Imagine you were asked to reconcile two conflicting spreadsheets. Step 1, you input those conflicting spreadsheets. Now, if you use the FAST model, it might just skim the data, look for obvious patterns, and then confidently give you a generalized summary that totally misses the actual problem. But with the reasoning model, step 2 kicks in. The model actively flags this as a reasoning task. It slows down, it switches to a methodical, step-by-step checking process. And because it does that deep work, step 3 happens, it actually catches a tiny rounding mismatch that the fast model completely glossed over. Yes, the reasoning model takes longer to generate the response, but it does the actual deep thinking required to get it right the first time.
Let's move to Section 3, the golden rule. Let's see how this builds together.
So,
The crucial point is, how does this translate into a highly practical strategy for your everyday life? Keep this personal rule of thumb right in your notes. Reasoning model for anything you would double-check by hand, fast model for anything you would accept at a glance. It is literally that simple and elegant. Think about it. If you're asking the AI to write a polite rejection email or maybe brainstorm 5 titles for a blog post, you'd probably just accept that output at a glance, right? Fast model. But if you are asking it to calculate your quarterly tax liabilities or maybe debug a critical piece of software logic, you would absolutely double-check that by hand. Therefore, reasoning model. Memorizing this simple binary decision-making strategy will completely transform your daily workflow and drastically elevate the quality of your results.
Section 4. Avoiding common mistakes. Now that we have the golden rule, what actually happens when we ignore it and just wing it? Well, here are the 3 major pitfalls you need to avoid straight from the source. First, defaulting to one model for everything and then blaming ChatGPT for uneven quality. Remember our hammer analogy. You wouldn't blame a hammer for doing a terrible job cutting a piece of wood, right? It's user error. Second, using reasoning models for simple tone or style edits. The source explicitly warns us not to reach for the heaviest model just by reflex. If you just want to rewrite a sentence to sound a bit more professional, the reasoning model is going to be much slower and provide literally zero quality gain. It is a total waste of your time. And third, ignoring usage limits until the heavy model locks you out mid-task. Those heavy reasoning models burn through your usage caps much faster. If you waste your reasoning quota on simple sentence rewrites, you're going to be locked out right when you actually need it for a complex math or logic problem.
Which brings us to a final, pretty provocative question for you to ponder. Which tool in your AI tool belt are you going to use for your very next task? Now that you understand the fundamental trade-off between speed and depth, you are back in the driver's seat. You have the map. The next time you open up a chat window, just take one single second to pause and ask yourself, am I going to double-check this output by hand, or am I going to accept it at a glance? Make the intentional choice, stop blaming the AI for uneven quality, and start matching the model to the job. Thanks for joining me for this explainer. I really hope this structure helps you navigate your daily workflows with so much more precision. I can't wait to see how you put this into practice.